Welcome back, everybody. We're diving into Acts chapters 3 through 5 today.
Yeah.
A time of, miracles and bold leadership in the early church.
Yeah, some really intense challenges too.
Absolutely. If you're interested in history or religion or just like human belief in action,
Hmm.
you're going to love this.
Yeah, sure.
We start at this temple gate called Beautiful,
Okay.
where Peter and John run into this man who's been lame since birth.
Right.
He's begging for money, which was pretty common back then.
Yeah.
It feels like there's more to it than just that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This man was probably like a permanent fixture at that gate.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, imagine that feeling of just hopelessness,
Oh, yeah.
being completely dependent on other people.
So Peter and John walk up.
Right.
And you'd think they'd just, give him some money.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens.
No. Peter says, "Silver or gold I do not have, but what I do have I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk." And the man is instantly healed. Like he's not just gradually getting better. He jumps up, starts praising God.
That's incredible.
It's a huge spectacle. You can't ignore that.
This wasn't just any miracle, though.
Right.
What made this particular healing so significant?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. First, it's like a visible, undeniable demonstration of Jesus's power.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Jesus wasn't physically there.
Right.
And this wasn't some private thing either. This happened at a very public place.
Yeah, lots of witnesses.
Exactly. And second, it becomes this platform for Peter to preach about Jesus. The miracle draws a crowd,
Yeah.
creates the perfect opportunity to share the message.
Of course, not everyone's happy about that.
Nope.
Peter and John end up in trouble with the religious leaders.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We're starting to see the opposition to the early Christians really heat up.
Yeah, they were seen as a threat, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. The authorities wanted to shut them down.
But Peter and John don't back down.
No,
They
wait.
get arrested, they get threatened, but they just stand firm in their faith.
Think about what Peter says to the Sanhedrin.
Okay.
He says, "Salvation is found in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved."
Wow.
He knew the risks, and he still spoke truth to power.
That's bold.
It takes so much courage to hold on to your convictions like that when you're facing that kind of opposition.
This word boldness keeps coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like recklessness, is it?
No,
There's this sense of knowing when to speak up, even when it's dangerous.
you're right. The kind of boldness we see in Peter and John,
Yeah.
it comes from this deep conviction.
Okay.
It's not about seeking attention or just being confrontational. It's about speaking the truth, even when it's unpopular, even when it puts you at risk. They knew they couldn't stay silent. They'd experienced the power of Jesus for themselves.
So they're facing this growing opposition,
Yeah.
and their response is to pray.
It's not just any prayer, though. They specifically pray for boldness.
Yeah.
They realize they need God's strength to face these challenges.
That's interesting. They didn't just rely on themselves.
No, they understood the importance of relying on God's power.
And then the place where they're praying, it's literally shaken.
It's an amazing image, isn't it?
Yeah. What's happening there?
It's a physical manifestation of God's presence, a response to their prayer. This is where they're filled with the Holy Spirit and empowered to continue their mission.
So we see this incredible boldness, this unwavering faith.
Right.
But it's not just about miracles and standing up to authority. They're also building a community.
Absolutely. The early church wasn't just about, these big pronouncements and miracles.
Right.
It was about radical generosity and caring for each other. They actually shared their possessions so that no one would be in need.
That's wild. I mean, can you imagine
Yeah.
sharing everything you have?
It must have been challenging.
Yeah.
It would take so much trust,
Oh, yeah.
putting other people's needs before your own.
But there must have been some benefits, too.
Oh, definitely. Think about the sense of community. The feeling that you're part of this group that will always have your back.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so different from how we live now, right?
Yeah.
We get so caught up in our own individual stuff.
It's a real challenge to us today, isn't it? Makes us think about how we can be more generous, how we can build that kind of unity in our own communities.
For sure. So we see this incredible boldness, the faith, the unity,
Yeah.
and then we get to Ananias and Sapphira.
Right.
And things take a bit of a dark turn.
This story makes a lot of people uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but it's so important for understanding the early church.
Okay, so this couple, they sell some property,
Right.
donate some of the money,
Mm-hmm.
but they lie about the amount.
Yeah, they're trying to make themselves look more generous than they really are.
It seems kind of like a harmless white lie, though.
Yeah, but their sin wasn't really about the money. It was about the deception. trying to manipulate their image, trying to deceive
Mm.
God. It really went against that trust and authenticity that the early church was all about.
Yeah.
And there were serious consequences.
Yeah, Ananias and Sapphira die.
It's a strong reminder that actions have consequences, that
Right.
integrity is crucial, especially in a faith community.
It's a tough story.
Yeah. But it's important to remember that this one incident doesn't define the whole early church.
Right.
They still grew. They still thrived.
It's like the more opposition they faced, the
Yeah.
stronger they became.
Yeah. There's this resilience you can't deny. Miracles were happening. People were being healed. They were drawn to this message of hope and salvation.
It seems like nothing could stop them.
Exactly.
There's even this part about Peter's shadow having healing power.
I know, right?
What's going on there?
It sounds wild,
Yeah.
but it shows you the level of faith and expectations surrounding the apostles. People saw them as these channels of God's power. They believed that even their shadow could heal.
So the religious leaders, they weren't happy about all this growth and attention.
No way.
They have Peter and the other apostles arrested again.
Yeah. But this time, something amazing happens.
That's that.
An angel of the Lord frees them from prison.
Wow. Divine intervention.
I wonder what they were thinking when they saw that angel.
Right. Scared, relieved, confused.
The angel tells them to go right back to the temple and keep preaching.
No way.
It's a direct challenge to the authorities.
God's saying you can't stop this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And they go back.
they do. Peter stands before the very people who imprisoned him and says, "We must obey God rather than human beings."
Wow.
No hesitation at all. Just this unwavering commitment to spreading the message of Jesus, no matter the cost.
They face so much imprisonment threats, even death.
Yeah. But their faith just seemed to get stronger.
Do you think we can learn something from them?
Absolutely. These stories happened so long ago, but the challenges of living out your faith, in a world that doesn't always get it,
Yeah.
those challenges, they're still the same.
That word boldness again.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to admire the apostles' courage.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we get that same boldness in our own lives? I mean, most of us aren't facing prison or anything.
Right. But we all have those moments where our faith is tested, where it'd be easier to just stay quiet.
Maybe it's speaking out against something that's wrong, or standing up for somebody, or just choosing to live differently.
It feels like even small acts of faith can take a lot of courage.
Definitely.
And prayer is a big part of finding that courage. I know the early Christians relied on it a lot, but it's something a lot of people struggle with today.
Prayer is powerful, but it can also be confusing.
Yeah.
It's even frustrating sometimes.
Right.
But the early Christians, they give us a good perspective. They didn't just pray for things. They prayed for the strength to live out their faith,
Okay.
especially when things were tough.
Mm.
They knew they needed God's power.
So it's not just about asking for stuff.
No.
It's about connecting to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly.
Which reminds me of another big thing from these chapters, community. The way they supported each other, shared their possessions.
It's pretty incredible.
They really understood that faith wasn't just an individual thing. It was something you lived out with other people.
Yeah, they cared for each other, celebrated together, faced challenges together. They were stronger as a group.
And that idea of sharing what you have, it's so different from how we live now.
Right.
We're all about individualism and competition.
I think we can still apply that principle of generosity today.
How?
Well, it starts with recognizing that we have our time, money, talents. It's not just for us.
Okay.
We're supposed to use it to help others, to build up our communities, to make a difference.
It might look different for each of us.
Yeah, but the idea is the same: generosity.
And of course, the story of Ananias and Sapphira reminds us that it has to be real generosity,
So important.
not just for show.
Integrity is crucial.
Yeah.
You can't build trust on deception.
Right. Their story shows us that our actions have consequences
For sure.
and that true generosity comes from the heart.
Exactly.
So we've got boldness, prayer, community integrity. It's like a guide to living out your faith even when it's hard.
It really is.
Yeah.
These chapters in Acts, they're not just ancient history. They're full of lessons about courage and resilience and the power of believing.
And they leave us with some big questions. How do we find that boldness? How do we connect with that strength that's bigger than ourselves? How do we build genuine community? How do we live with integrity?
Those are great questions to think about.
The early church shows us that faith isn't just what you believe. It's how you live. And it can change the world.
It's a challenge to live up to their example, but it's also incredibly inspiring.
They face so much, but their faith and their message spread like wildfire. What does that tell us about the power of conviction?
And the potential for each of us to make a difference.
Exactly. That's what I hope people take away from this deep dive. What kind of impact do you want to make? What do you believe in enough to stand up for it? How will you live out your faith in a way that matters?
The early church shows us that it's possible.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through Acts chapters 3 through 5. We hope it's given you some new insights and challenged you to think about how you can live out your faith with boldness, generosity, and integrity.